Hi everyone, and join me in Plaistow in Grange Road. And for people that don't know the area or haven't been here for a while, you're not going to recognise it, you really ain't. But what we're looking at here is the monstrosity that replaced the old Sultan pub. The Sultan, which was called the Sultan when I was a teenager, a bloke got murdered in there. It was previously known as the Grange Moonlights. But yeah, this is what replaced it. It was knocked down. The block of flats that, as you're going to see, we're looking at the now bit, and you're going to be looking at the then in a minute. And the old block of flats that you see next to the pub, this is that same block of flats, but they've just been renovated. I remember that happening. They've had a new cladding and a sloped roof put on. And where I lived in Woolwich, we had a block like that was flat roofed, and they did that round about the same time. But yeah, this is where the Sultan pub used to stand. And it was, when I was a teenager, it was a dodgy pub, very druggy, and a bloke got shot in there and killed, and it closed down not long after that. It was closed and abandoned for quite some time, and then got knocked down, and then's been replaced with this. But yeah, if you look down this way, you won't recognise the, as I say, you won't recognise. Whoa! Shit, a cat ran out in the road then, sorry. Cat ran out and towards that van, sorry. If you look down that way, you won't recognise it, because there used to be a care home and everything there. That's all these new luxury flats and stuff now. But yeah. You'll see in the now. And let me take you back to the then with the first picture, which will show you the Grange, and then the next one, which will show you a little bit later on, as the Sultan as well. Well, it's still called the Grange, but I remember it being called the Sultan. I can't find no images of it being called the Sultan, so. But yeah, we are in the correct location, just very, very different. So you've seen it now, and now you're going to see it then. And we've seen the now, and this is for the then. 1919, for a very different looking Grange Road with all the old houses still up. The pub was really an old survivor that clung on for many years. There'd been a pub on this site since the 1870s. First record I can find of it is in 1876. 1850s, 60s, 70s is the era when Plaistow and everything was building up as the industrialised area that it would become. Plaistow originally was a village. But yeah, this is 1919, just 1 year after the First World War. 1938, and a much clearer image. Still called the Sultan, we'll get a name change later on. But I like this image because it shows the original frontage with its tiling and everything, which with a little bit of research I found out was bottle green in colour. So this is just 1 year before the Second World War, which would sweep pretty much Grange Road as these people would, in this era, would have known it, away. 1980s, and you see the very great difference I'm on about. All the old houses are gone. The pub survived with some repair and patching up and whatnot after the Second World War damage. And where I stood and filmed from, looking at the flats with the fancy new frontage and sloped roof, these are the same, they are the same flats, these are them, but just years ago before they were tarted up. And as I say, the pub clung on for many years. I remember this one when I was a teen, and I was sure it was called the Sultan, and it may have been changed back to the Sultan. If anyone can help with that one, let me know. But I always remember people calling it the Sultan. But here we see it in the 80s. Sorry about that, it's a chiming clock. Here we see it in the 1980s as the Grange. And that's our first little lost pub of London. And when I say lost, I mean with this one completely gone, there's not a surviving trace of it. And on to our next one, which is a very historical one, believe it or not, what was originally there. On to the next one. And our next salubrious lost drinking location is what was the Greengate pub. We are at the Greengate. The area is known as the Greengate for anyone that doesn't know that. It's a Tesco Express now, as you can see, but it's it was the Greengate pub. Also the scene of another murder. Not really selling our pubs for you, am I very well? You go there and get killed in most of them. But yeah, this is Tesco Express now, as you see it, but it was the Greengate pub. And once again, the area in which it stands has changed quite a lot. I'm not pointing you over that way deliberately because there's another pub over there I want to focus on. But that's where the Halifax Bank and all that was over there. But yeah, it's really changed. So yeah, quick shot. But yeah, that's the was the Greengate. So you're seeing it now, and you're going to see it as it was. So on to that part. And our next Plaistow pub, and probably one of the most historical ones. The Greengate was recorded from at least 1776 and held on to its original appearance longer than any pub in Plaistow. Here you can see it in 1926. Sadly, this area would have the hell bombed out of it in the Second World War, and this lovely looking old pub was replaced with what we're going to see next, which was this one. This is 1959, so not that long after the war. You can still see all the tram lines up and everything, but over to the left is what the old Greengate pub was replaced with. 1970s image here with the old seafood stall outside. It's still called the Greengate, of course, so it's nice that it kept its original name, but it certainly didn't keep anything like its original appearance. 1970s or 80s just gives another view of the side and frontage here. '90s, this is late 90s, and this is how I remember the Greengate. Wasn't one of my drinking dens. I do remember this one opening and operational. I did go in here once and have a drink with my brother-in-law. They had a good pool table and everything in here. It was an alright little pub. And then a bloke got killed in this one, so like the Sultan, it gained a bit of a bad reputation. Didn't get pulled down, but as we saw in my video, it's been turned into a Tesco's. And that's the history of that one. On to our next pub. And last but most definitely not least on our trail of lost East London pubs, this was called the Castle. It's a Betfred betting shop now with living accommodation above and some very salubrious looking aerials, even if I do say so myself. But this one I remember from my younger years as a teenager who used to serve anyone really. I was about 15, 16, about from the age of 15 to about say 19 or 20. I spent my 18th birthday in here. I remember nothing about my 18th birthday. All I know is that I was delivered back home on the doorstep by my friends, and Lady Mother wasn't pleased. She had to keep an eye on me all night because I spent most of the night vomiting into a bucket. I remember nothing about it, really nothing. But yeah, I can't say or profess that this one's had a murder that I know of. It probably has. It's bound to have. No murders that I know of, but when we were drinking there, I did once see a bloke get his head smashed into a slot machine. He went down like a ton of bricks. Another time was a bloke tried to dirty soccer punch another bloke trying to knock him out, and it did not work. And the bloke that did the punching, the one he tried to knock out, was very, very hefty and well built, and the puncher got knocked out, put it that way. Yeah, so that's the Castle. You're seeing it now as it is, as a Betfred betting shop. And let's go and see it as it was, shall we? And last but not least, for our last little venture into the past, we've seen it as it was, or as it is now. What remains of it, the building's still there. But this is the Castle. And a lot of people always wondered why it was called the Castle, and you're seeing it. Why it's called the Castle, because it was crenellated like a castle originally. That got covered up not too many years after this photograph. This is the earliest one I can find of it. This is 1900. The castle itself was built in 1867, so a lovely old building that's been there for quite some time. I'm glad the building survived, but like many of the East London pubs, they just died out and many were pulled down. Luckily this one's been reutilised rather than being destroyed, but we're seeing it here in 1900. just 4 years afterwards, 1904. Slightly grainy image, but you can see the trams going up and down the Barking Road if you look over to the left, which would have been a great thing for our Edwardian ancestors and ancestresses. The castle, as you can see, still crenellated, but it's been covered up with signage, most of it. Now this is as I remember the castle, as I say, one of my old drinking dens. This photo's from 2009, and this is exactly as I remember the castle, painted in the claret and blue colours as well. And here we see it in the transition process of basically what it is now, turning from an old pub into Betfred. It's had a lot of work done on it, and they've put another level up on top now, and these ugly aerials and everything. But yeah, that was our little venture into the past of lost London pubs. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching.